and we're very excited to get on the Rude Guest Hotline and welcome in the NFL MVP from the 1983 season, Mr. Joe Theismann. Joe T, what's up, dude? How are you?
Good morning, guys. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and everybody had a safe one and spent a lot of time with their family and food and football. I mean, it was an unbelievable weekend of football.
Or was that?
It was a fun one, and last night was the best we've seen this Washington team play in some time. They did come up short. Joe, what'd you think of the effort? Maybe not the final score, but certainly the effort in this thing.
I just felt like it was unbelievable from the get-go. The defense was incredible. The offense just hung in there and hung in there and hung in there. And, you played a heck of a football team and you played a heck of a football game. And it was a heartbreaker the way it ended. It's almost like it's last year in reverse. You get to this situation, we saw this last week in Miami. You get against Miami in Spain. We see it this week against Denver. It's those games that we won a year ago, just like this, we're not winning this year. But the effort, Marcus played a fantastic football game. I mean, one of those, the escape he made to get those passes off was incredible. I mean, his running, everything he did was so unbelievable last night. And it was just unfortunate. It was a perfect play call at the end. And, guy makes a great defensive play. That's about the only way you can describe it.
That's it. And looking at the defense and how they're playing, Joe, what do you say about that? Because they seem to have gotten a little better over the last 2 weeks.
They have. I think, Dan seems to have a feel for what he wants to do, and we've seen him play better football. We're in every game. It doesn't get away from him, and that's the big thing. And I think, you hang in there for 60 minutes, you're going to give yourself a chance like we have the last couple of weeks. I feel bad for Ertz. I mean, he just – against Miami, he slips over there in Spain, and then he has an opportunity here. I mean, he was a war horse last night, making catches all over the place, key catches everywhere, as he has since he's been a Commander. And it's that one play that just sort of, like I say, it's the difference. Last year, the one plays were made. This year, the one play is not being made.
Yeah, Joe, you're so right. Last year, they seemed to just get all the bounces, and this year it just seems like everything goes the other way. When you watch Washington run the ball pretty effectively against a really good Denver defense, and then at times it seems to go away, do you get frustrated, or do you understand that they're just trying to accomplish lots of different things offensively and defensively?
I don't think they're trying to accomplish lots of different things. You just can't drop back in this league and think you're going to continue to throw and have good things happen all the time. You're going to get a holding penalty, put you behind the chains. You're going to throw an incomplete pass. You're going to throw an interception. There's so many things that happen. If you run the ball enough to be able to control the linebackers, and I thought the offensive line held up really well last night, but if you're able to control the linebackers, you're able to control a large amount of your passing game. And that's why the running game is so important. We go back 2-3 years when everybody sort of poo-pooed the running backs and say, well, they're not that important. That's baloney. I'm a testament. I wear a Super Bowl ring because of John Ricketts. I don't pretend to say anything else. John and that offensive line made it happen for us as we continue to go forward, and really great defensive play. But when you look at the ability to, you can't be, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9. You've got to be able to gain enough yards on 1st and 10 to be able to put pressure on the linebackers to open up some space and some room. And again, having the statement last night that came out of that game to me is how important is Terry McLaurin to this football team. I mean, you can't overstate the fact that with him, it's a different football team. Without him, you're searching for answers and opportunities. I mean, when the game against Miami, there was one deep pass, the entire day. And I think Cliff opened it up more against Denver, seeking opportunities down the field, and it made a difference. Terry made some unbelievable catches, and he's just a tough guy, and I think the guys feed off of that.
Yeah.
You see him doing what he's doing, and you see other players making plays, and guys feed off that. The defense feeds off what the offense does, and vice versa.
I totally agree with Terry. And the last time we saw them play well was a half in Kansas City when they had Terry back and he made some unbelievable catches. Joe, when you have a receiver that plays, now obviously he can get vertical, he's got the speed, he can make contested catches, but when you have a receiver that plays with that level of physicality, what does that do for a quarterback?
Oh, it gives you tremendous confidence to know that you can put the ball in the general area. You don't have to make specific, precise throws. You put it in a general area, and you feel like Terry's going to make the play for you, or he's not going to allow an interception to happen. That's the other thing, too, is when the great receivers protect the ball. They protect the quarterback. If they can't get it, then they make sure that defenders don't get it. Terry's that kind of a smart football player. But it was good to see him healthy. I think, coming up here, we've got, Minnesota's coming up. We've got a challenge. They're unsettled at the quarterback position. And then you've got, the Giants, the Eagles, and the Cowboys in the remaining, 4 games after that. So I think that this football team has got the confidence now to be able to line up on the football field with any of the remaining 5 football teams and have a positive outcome.
Joe, you're sitting in this position right now with the team. You lost 7 in a row. What would be your message to a team if you're a quarterback leading this team?
I think the first thing is we just have to keep fighting. Basically, this is our job. This is what we do. This what we've been is not who we are. We're starting to become the team we're supposed to be. And the thing is you have to go out, you have to study, you have to work. As the quarterback, all eyes are on you. How do you carry yourself? How do you conduct yourself? How do you communicate with everybody else? What do you say in the media? All those things are taken into consideration because all eyes are on you. I think the important thing is we just need to keep fighting. Now, will they make a decision when Jaden's ready to go? Is he going to be ready next week in Minnesota? I don't know if he's going to be cleared or not. I think that he should get back on the football field at some point in time. Mm-hmm. But he has to be 150% cleared, and they have to feel comfortable that he's healthy enough to be able to go out there to do it. But to have him take the rest of the year off would be a huge mistake, I think, for him and for the franchise going forward.
Yeah, I think Jaden will play. I think Jaden wants to play. It's a matter of getting cleared by the docs, and maybe that's a little different if we get to Christmas Day and he still hasn't been cleared and there's only 1 or 2 games left. But at this point, you got to have him back out on the field because unfortunately, a lot of fans at this point are just caught up in draft position. But there's 70 guys in that locker room living and dying with these games. And
JP, they don't care about draft position.
Totally.
None of them.
Right, BMitch, you're sitting in that locker room. You hear, the noise. You gotta block the noise out. It's not about the noise. It's about the guys in the locker room. It's about the coaches in the meeting rooms. It's about the organization. It's about saying, okay, look, man, we prove we can play toe to toe with anybody, but we have to put this kind of effort forth every week.
True.
You just keep, and you can't take anything for granted. You can't take an extra point for granted. You can't take anything for granted. You saw some of the games this weekend were decided by missed extra points and some officiating calls that weren't very good. So
some of those
to me, it's like we're getting closer. Let's just keep pushing forward. Let's keep growing. Let's keep getting better.
Talking with our friend Joe Theismann here on the Rude Guest Hotline. Rude makes the most reliable HVAC products in the DMV. You can give Joe a follow at Theismann7, 2 N's in Theismann. Joe T, I did want to correct one thing you said earlier. You had a little something to do with that Super Bowl ring. So
you're kind. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Just a little.
You've played football at the highest levels. You've watched football. You've done it professionally as an analyst, a commentator, all those things. What did you think of that Traylon Burks touchdown catch last night?
Unbelievable.
I'll throw it back to him again.
Yeah, they tried. They tried again. I mean, first of all, what gets lost in the whole thing is where Marcus put the football. There was no place else to put that football for him to go get it. And then, with the OBJ comparisons, I think the split screens they've been showing, it's just, it was absolutely phenomenal. Great concentration, great ability to protect the ball. Because, Mitch, you know this better than I do. When you go up for a pass and you hit the ground, there's lots of things getting jarred around.
Mm-hmm.
Your elbow, your arm, your back, everything else going to hit the ground. It was It was something special.
Yes.
I mean, it really was. It was just and then how about Marcus scrambling around, saving a play, not getting sacked. I mean, all the things that everybody kept making play after play after play in this game. And it was, Bobby getting himself an interception.
Yeah.
Just both sides of the ball and the kicking game, everything clicked except for that one last moment.
Yep.
Yeah. It was remarkable, man. And I just, going forward here, there's obviously the Jaden question, and they're going to have a long off season of having to examine some stuff. I think, you need more speed. You do need a dominant edge rusher. There's obviously holes on a roster. You don't get to 3-9 on accident, but I feel like in the last month, they've had 2 Sunday night football games between the Seattle game and last night. And that was 2 different football teams that showed up.
Yeah, absolutely. Night and day.
And I feel like, you're getting healthy. Will Harris being back on the field helps you a lot.
Yep.
But the people that wanted to disparage McLaurin for being hurt, I think last night were just proven so stupid.
Yeah.
Well, how do you disparage somebody for being hurt? I mean,
because they don't understand how tough this game is, Joe.
No, and they don't understand. They don't understand that you're playing this. This is the highest level you can play. And you need every bit of your abilities to be able to do it. I'll tell you a guy who was a warrior yesterday too was Daniel Jones. You watched him in warm-ups hobble around out there, and then you go out and see him play against that Houston defense. You say to yourself, "Whoa, unbelievable!" But that's what you do. I mean, if the job matters to you, you want to do everything you can to get out there.
Yeah. And
we saw what Terry looked like as a healthy Terry. Now, hopefully, going forward, you build on it. Yeah. You make sure that and then Jaden gets back out there. You build on it. Our business isn't a one-year business. We had a great year last year, a Cinderella kind of year last year. It's been a struggle this year, and you're going to go through the ebbs and flows of the way the games work and the way the season works. But you can't just all of a sudden say, "Oh, okay, well, geez, maybe we can get a number 1 draft pick again." No, baloney with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. That nobody thinks like that. Not if they're in that locker room.
No.
Yeah, I think
not at all.
A lot of times the disconnect between the people inside the building and the way that people watch the sport are very different. And I think last night was really indicative of that when a team shows up and leaves it all on the field. Marcus had the bad pick. I don't know what that was. But, Joe, as a guy that played the quarterback position, the way he was getting hit in that game and just kept responding to the bell said a lot about who Mariota is and kind of why they value him so much.
That's who he is. And he's a very valued piece. The other thing, too, he's a very valued piece of this. I mean, you look around the league at the people who are struggling with backups and and the poor performances that they put out. Marcus has not been that way. He has been a rock back there. He doesn't get a lot of practice time, doesn't get a lot of work, and yet still goes out and performs at a very high level to give this team a chance to win. The other thing that was impressive to me last night watching that game was, you're 3-8. Your football team hasn't done well. You're coming off of a bye. Everybody celebrated Thanksgiving. That stadium was packed, and I thank the fans for being there for this football team. I thank them tremendously because it's just as easy to turn around when things aren't going well and say, I got something else to do on a Sunday night. Mm-hmm. But they didn't. They were there in mass, and it made a difference. You could hear it on the TV, and that's why playing in the city of Washington to me was so important, to be able to spend an entire career in one city with one franchise because of the fans and their support of the organization and the football team and the players. And they notice it, believe me.
I think every fan, they just look outside of just here. You saw what Joe Burrow did the other day, right? Joe Burrow has proven what he was capable of. He could have probably just rolled off in the sunset. But no, sure. I'm going to play because that's what I'm supposed to do. Be there for my teammates, and he goes and he beats the Ravens.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Bad, broken wrist. Now, Justin Herbert's going to be faced with a similar situation with his injury. I fully guarantee that he'll be able to do it. Now, when you hurt your left hand, as it is, it's harder to hand off going to the right. Mm-hmm. So you have to adjust your offense a little bit, and defenses aren't stupid. You basically aren't going to be able to hand off to anybody going to the right. You're going to have to pitch the ball. So you move your edge rushers out a little bit, you move your ends out a little bit more, knowing full well that the only way they can get there is by pitching the ball. So, but I mean, these guys showed up big time, and it's, like I say, Terry being healthy makes a world of difference. Zach's Ertz is just, you talk about a warrior. We have older players on this football team. You have to acknowledge that, but I'll tell you, every one of them is a warrior that lines up and plays hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was just such a tough way for that to finish. You know what I mean? And
broke my heart.
Yeah,
broke my heart.
It was it was one of those where a million things happened in that game. I thought the refs were really pretty bad. The refs don't win or lose games though, and just Joe, one play I got to ask you about. Late in regulation, 3rd and 6, and they call that QB draw for Mariota.
Mm-hmm.
And if he goes down inbounds, the game might be over. What were you screaming at the television in that moment as Marcus tried to get out to that left sideline?
First thing I said to myself was, why? Why?
Right.
Why? It's 7 seconds left to go. Just kick the field. Just tie it up. Just kick the field goal there. And basically, as it turned out, there was no way that I thought that, if you're going to take a shot, throw it out of the end zone like you did the play before. But, you scratch your head a little bit and wonder why, but, that worked out okay for us. He did get out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
And he fought to get out of bounds. So, but that was one of those head scratchers a little bit. And it turned out it wasn't detrimental. Let's put it that way. That's important.
Worked out kind of good.
It was
for a little bit.
It gave us something to talk and think about. I'll tell you that.
It sure did. It sure did. I mean, in the moment, I was just like, oh my God, is he going to? It reminded me of, I'm going a couple years back now, when they ran that QB draw in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
And then they weren't able to spike it in time.
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously, it worked out better last night.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you get inside 10 seconds. It's like you do have one or two, if you have a timeout, it's a different story. But when you don't have any timeouts and you're in the middle of the football field and you got to get to the sidelines in 6 seconds, and you're not a world-class sprinter, it makes a world of difference.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, kind of going forward, if you're Dan Quinn, what's your message for this team? 5 games left, but I'd argue the next 2 are quite winnable, man. At Minnesota, at New York.
Hey, I think Philadelphia's beatable.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys, it remains to be seen exactly where they're going to be and what they're going to look like. Every week, it's a different scenario. Every week, you're looking at different football teams. The Rams get beat by the Carolina Panthers yesterday. There's no way anybody ever thought that would have happened. No way. The Buffalo Bills go out and they look terrible, and all of a sudden they come back and look great.
Yeah.
Each week, it's like it's a game unto itself. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're still a scary football team. They only lost by 3 points on Thanksgiving, and they had a chance to win that or at least tie it if guys don't drop the football. This was Kansas City's problem a couple of years ago. It wasn't that Patrick was playing bad. Patrick's playing unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But the guys can't catch Travis Kelce putting the ball on the ground. Rashid Rice putting the ball on the ground in key moments. I think the message, to answer your question, the message is, guys, look, this is who we are. This is who we can be. But we got to bring it every week, just like we did on Sunday night. It's got to be that kind of effort. It's got to be that kind of performance, because anything less than that is not going to give us a chance to be able to win.
Yep. Totally.
I agree with you, man. Joe, we appreciate you making time for us, sir. I know it was a late night watching that thing.
No, God, I'm telling you, I tossed and turned last night in 1,000 different ways. Haven't played the position. When Marcus threw the ball, all of a sudden it goes through my mind, okay, do you double clutch? Mm-hmm. No, you can't double clutch, because then it gives the defenders a chance. Do you loft it in the air? Well, you don't want to hang it up down around the goal line down there. So he did exactly what he had to do to try and complete the pass. Sometimes, and you hate to do this, and both Mitch and I were offensive guys, you hate to give the defense credit, but you have to. The kid made a hell of a play.
He did.
I mean, that's all it was.
The question I would ask is, why wasn't he blocked at all?
Well,
he's only leading the league in sacks.
They brought 2 men. That was part of what Marcus was dealing with all night.
Yeah.
Free runners. I mean, you bring more people that are there to block, especially when you got three receivers going out to clear. You got a running back coming from the other side. Normally, that would be the running back's guy to pick up.
Last one, Joe. You're Irish getting in, right?
They better, or else there's really something wrong.
I think they're good, man, and I think they could. I don't know. Freeman's a heck of a coach. They could go on a little run. I'll be excited to watch them in the playoff.
They could. The only thing that scares me a little bit is the last four opponents haven't really given us much of a.
That Syracuse game you didn't think was one of the 70-7?
Well, the thing is well, that was. I mean, there's 5 minutes. There's 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, and your offense hasn't been on the field yet. And you got a 21-point lead.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often. I think you're going to be playing a lot better football teams going into the playoffs. Actually, when you look at the teams that are probably going to be in the 12, there's a lot of really good football teams, a lot of really good defenses, Notre Dame being one of them, being able to go forward. And I love the growth of C.J. Carr. I mean, he just watching him grow from the first game against Miami to where he was and where he is now is really a treat for me.
I bet you wouldn't mind seeing Jeremiah Love wearing burgundy and gold, Joe.
First of all, he should win the Heisman. He's the best player in college football, my personal opinion. Secondly, he would look really, really good with the W on his helmet.
He sure would. I mean, that game against Syracuse, I read the box score to be 8 for 170. Yeah, that's pretty remarkable. And
he's a highlight film every week.
Totally.
I mean, he reminds me of the running back Cook he reminds me of Cook a little
James
bit.
Cook. Yeah, I like that call.
Yeah, up in Buffalo. He's got that kind of explosiveness, that kind of elusiveness, and that kind of power. Plus, he's used to pass blocking as well. So, I mean, he's a real treat to watch.
Thank you for the time, Joe. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving and a great Christmas season.
Thanks, guys. Catch up with you soon. Bye.
Take care, man.